Harry Potter.
Welcome to the Harry Potter Tour. Officially, the attraction goes by the rather unwieldy title of Warner Brothers Studios Tour London, the making of Harry Potter, but the Harry Potter Studio Tour is far snappier. It's a little bit of a trek to get to. In fact, by barely being inside the M25, it flirts with failing the actual being in London at all. But at the end of your journey lies a simply Potterific day out.
Clifford, what are you? Are you a Slytherin? Are you a Slytherin? These are actually from the film.
Nowadays, the Harry Potter Studio Tour welcomes about 6,000 visitors every day, roughly about 2 million every year, for a self-guided wander through the spellbinding sets used. Props, costumes, interactive installations, artworks and large-scale designs can all be seen on the tour, where a fascinating new insight into the filmmaking process lurks around every corner. Expect to be spellbound and spend several hours here because there's a lot to see.
Thank you.
At the tour today, so keep an eye out for that new set.
One of my favourite moments about the Harry Potter films is the bit where Harry gets to ride Buckbeak off in a lesson. It's sort of like a break in the films where he just gets a chance to just be a kid again, which is what everyone really wants to do, really.
My favourite Harry Potter prop has got to be the Deluminator that Dumbledore leaves Ron. I just think it's awesome. Like the effect that they have when the little ball of light comes out the top, I just think that's wicked. It looks amazing on screen.
My favourite animal is the big spider.
My favourite creature in the Harry Potter films would be the basilisk. I'm a big fan of snakes and a giant one. Ooh, that scares me.
My mum made me this sweater in the style of the Weasleys making Harry his first Christmas present, and it took a really long time to make.
I think everyone has to love the House of Gryffindor, really. That's where Harry is first, and Hermione and everyone else. Very, very important activity.
As I welcome you, the very words that Harry heard on his arrival to the castle. Welcome to Hogwarts. Yes, ladies and gents, this is the one and the only Great Hall of Hogwarts. Now, it's one of the first sets ever constructed, and as you can probably tell, it's one of our largest as well.
It's just bewitched to look like the night sky. I read about it in Hogwarts, a history. This is Crabbe and Goyle, and I'm Malfoy. Draco Malfoy. You'll soon find out that some wizarding families are better than others, Potter. You don't want to go making friends with the wrong sort. I can help you there.
I think I can tell the wrong sort for myself, thanks.
The Great Hall was a large hall with 4 long tables where students of each house sat during the day and at meal times. The staff table was at the front, where the entire Hogwarts staff sat. There was a throne-like chair in the centre of the table where the current headmaster or headmistress sat.
5 points will be taken from Gryffindor for your serious lack of judgment. As for you two gentlemen, well, I just hope you realise how fortunate you are. Not many first-year students could take on a fully grown mountain troll and live to tell the tale. 5 points will be awarded to each of you. For sheer dumb luck.
Your attention, please.
Let the feast begin.
I'm half and half.
The Harry Potter Studios tour should definitely not be rushed, and if you can swing it, make sure you take in every detail, because it's pretty impressive. From the smallest prop to the enormous sets, everything made for the Harry Potter movies was made with a painstakingly close attention to detail, which goes underappreciated on the big screen. While on the tour, you'll be able to get a closer look to the things, the etchings, the goblets of fire, and every stitch on the beautifully embroidered costumes.
It was as if I was stepping into the pages of the book. Especially for a young boy, it was truly magical. And now that you're here, walking onto the same sets we've used for all these years, I hope that you too can feel a little bit of that magic. One of the fun things you'll see here today is that many of the interior sets were all built in the same
The film studio in Leviston, where Harry Potter film series was filmed, was originally an old aircraft factory. For 10 years, it had been home for the famous cast and crew's iconic sets. Props and costumes were saved in case they were ever needed in later films. Once the last film was wrapped, the production team at Warner Brothers Studios Tour London decided to preserve and showcase these iconic items so fans could experience the magic firsthand. The walls of Hogwarts were lined with nearly 350 enchanted portraits of century-old wizards and witches as a tribute. The portraits were actually hand-painted of the film crews immortalized on canvas.
What is it?
Some kind of cloak.
Well, let's see then. Put it on. Whoa! My body's gone. I know what that is. That's an invisibility cloak.
You've popped her like Dean Thomas, never long at all. Ron Weasley, Harry Potter.
The Philosopher's Stone.
Unornamented, unadorned architecture. The enrichment is the strange gilded inscriptions on the arches and the potions themselves, all these glass jars lining the walls.
Hidden deep in the dungeons of Hogwarts is the potions classroom, lined with shelves of peculiar jars and bottles of ingredients used by Professor Snape and Slughorn. In the first movie, the classroom was shot on location at Lacock Abbey in Wiltshire, England. For subsequent films, the set was built in the Leviston Harry Potter Studios. More than 500 bottles on the wall of the classroom were filled with all kinds of dry plants, herbs, baked animal bones from local butcher shops, and plastic animal toys from Regent's Park Zoo.
I can teach you how to bewitch life and smell the sunset. I tell you what will fame, gloom, glory, and green discover in death. The integration, the very, very solid come to Hogwarts.
Portraits in ancient films have played an important role because the portraits hold history and continuity. For example, in Dumbledore's Cycle of Life,
Hagrid's home.
Oh, bless him, look, he knows his mummy. You have to be trained up a bit, of course.
Welcome to your first flying lesson. Well, what are you waiting for? Everyone step up to the left side of their broomstick. Come on now, hurry up. Stick your right hand over the broom and say up.
Quidditch doesn't sound like a very aggressive sport. After all, it is played by a bunch of wizards and witches who use wands for almost everything they do. Quidditch is probably on par with American football and rugby in terms of how rough and tough it can get.
I remember working on it in the first film because everyone would say to me, what's Quidditch? That was the major question I got from every kid I talked to, so we really knew we had to deliver.
Very difficult to recreate flying around on brooms and giving grace to someone who flies. It comes to mind.
Saved you a seat. To those of you who do not know, we are joined tonight by Miss Charity Burbage, who until recently taught at Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. Her speciality was Muggle study. To her, the mixture of magical and Muggle blood is not an abomination.
In the world of Harry Potter, fans know him by many different names. The Dark Lord, He Who Must Not Be Named, Tom Marvolo Riddle, and others alike. This evil wizard, however, best known as Lord Voldemort from its beginnings as a lowly orphan to the height of his power as a master of the dark arts to his ill-fated return to power.
Favourite set was probably the atrium of the Ministry of Magic, just purely for the scale of it. It absolutely is one of those ones that you walk onto every time, no matter how long you've been there, and go, wow, these films are big.
You just walk through the doors and there in front of you is this wonderfully domed, green tile, gold ornate view down to that fountain. It was very, very special.
Realize, of course, that in the past few hours you have broken perhaps a dozen school rules. There is sufficient evidence to have you both expelled.
Yes, sir.
Therefore, it is only fitting that you both receive special awards for services to the school.
Thanks, sir.
Prosthetics were used for the characters in the movie, some even moved by mechanical help. Some of the characters that used prosthetics were Hermione Granger and the Goblin of Gringotts and Surprise, Hagrid himself.
got that.
Here we go.
And then there's that in the front.
The forest is a very old place that holds many secrets and houses many creatures, some dark and dangerous, others friendly. There are areas around the edges of the forest that are part of the Hogwarts grounds, but which are out of sight of the castle. Hagrid set up a paddock for the hippogriffs in an area just like this, and the dragons which had been brought in for the first task were confined here. The trees in the forest are considered ancient, and they are dense and rough-looking from years of exposure to the elements. Also, crows were known to snag on low-hanging branches and brambles. The forest is home to a wild and strange assortment of creatures. Anything wild and dangerous that needs a place to live is put there. It's hard to navigate the forest at night, as there are tree roots and stumps that are barely visible in near blackness.
Oh, I like that. That's brilliant. We will do. Go back to it.
Anyone who doesn't know that they can catch the fictional Hogwarts Express from King's Cross platform 9 3/4 has probably been living under a rock for the past 20 years. Less well known is the fact that J.K. Rowling's parents met on a train in Scotland that departed from King's Cross. Years later, this fateful encounter inspired her to include the station in her international best-selling Harry Potter book series, which in turn saw King's Cross introduce platform 9 3/4 to the station concourse with a luggage trolley embedded in the wall for Potter fans. As with any self-respecting London attraction, you exit through the gift shop. If you can resist temptation, you're a better person than I, because the gift shop is a wonderland of chocolate frogs, magic wands, merchandise from the Hogwarts houses, and some beautifully extra chess sets that I don't need but totally want.
Just sit there on the top.
Gringotts Wizarding Bank is the only bank of the Wizarding world and is owned and operated by goblins. It was created by a goblin called Gringotts in 1474. Its main offices are located around the north side of Diagon Alley in London, England. In addition to storing money and valuables for wizards and witches, one can go there to exchange Muggle money for Wizarding money, which appeared to not be too difficult, as shown when Hermione Granger's parents did so while paying for her school supplies. The currency exchanged by Muggles is later returned in circulation to the Muggle world by goblins. According to Rubeus Hagrid, other than the Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, Gringotts is the safest place in the Wizarding world.
Fire. I've seen it 3 times now. Oh, that is such a bit. Oh, Harry
The Leaky Cauldron was present long before Charing Cross Road was even planned in the 19th century. Its true address is number 1, Diagon Alley, and it is believed to have been built sometime in the early 1500s, along with the rest of the Wisden Street. It is a popular historical theory that the second oldest building in Diagon Alley is Gringotts Wizarding Bank, and the other shops grew up around it. However, there is the possibility that Ollivanders is the oldest building, records dating back to the early 4th century BC. Perhaps one of the most anticipated attractions at the Harry Potter Studio Tour is Diagon Alley, a wizarding wonderful of shopping. Though you can't go in any of the shops, the attention to detail and eye-catching decor of Weasley's Wizard Wheezes makes it a firm audience favourite. Plus, if you simply can't wait to see it in real life, you can take the tour on Google Street View. I didn't get to see. And for the grand finale, visitors to the Harry Potter Studios tour wander around an epic, large-scale rendering of Hogwarts, formerly used for sweeping film shots. The breathtaking model is a striking end to the tour which gives you a true sense of the castle. Hogwarts Castle is the large 7-storey building that houses Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, Britain's magical school for young witches and wizards aged 11 to 18, built in 993 AD by a wizard architect and the foremost celebrated wizards of the age. It serves as the primary setting for every book in the Harry Potter series, considered to be the finest school of witchcraft and wizardry in the world. It's located in the Highlands of Scotland and takes students from Great Britain, Northern Ireland and Ireland.
I'm more like Rupert Grint. The thing is more like Daniel Radcliffe.